Yo guys, welcome. This is a guide to Welcome to the Game 2. I won't tell you exactly every single way how to beat it, but I'll give you a general idea how to. Sorry about the bird on the background. I have a beautiful grey parrot. And I don't have the heart to shut him up. He always gives me that cute ass smile. Alright, so this game has a lot of strategies. And we'll go through them. I'll tell you how to avoid most of the killers, how to be most time efficient, etc, etc. Pepe Plus. He'll probably calm down eventually. Don't worry guys, don't worry, okay? He probably will. Alright, so to start things off, you obviously can learn something about the killers and the game in the guides you have on the computer, but they're not super detailed. So, you get a call from Adam. What you want to start with is instantly buy Skybreak before you actually leave and go for your package. Always start with picking up the flashlight. That's pretty much it. So, first killer I guess you can talk about is the breeder. The breeder is only in the alley, and I believe his chance of appearing increases as you go for the packages, because usually when I buy the first time he barely comes. I think he came like at 10% of cases, so it's relatively safe. Obviously by that I mean the first time you buy, not this time. This time when you go there is no chance you need him. The strategies against him are basically two. One is for the good healers and the two is more of a safe approach. So basically, when you go out, in the first few seconds you can hear two steps behind you. If you can hear them, you know the breeder is coming for you. At that point you wanna run to the door, go behind them and then beat him. In case you don't have that such a good hearing, like me for example, you instantly run for the door, no matter if you hear him or not. You run to the door, right click on the... no, wait a bit. Eventually you'll hear 3 steps. They are pretty loud. So at that point you will hear him and he will start breathing after behind the door. When he does that, after every single breath he can grab the knob. I believe he does it 5 times in total. The time you have to react is quite small. You have basically, I think, about 2 seconds when the door starts moving to grab the handle and block him. I do not recommend to preemptively grab the handle because you have a bar on the right that doesn't really allow you to waste it before he actually grabs the handle. After you do it 5 times you can hear him leave and you're fine. It takes some practice, I would say. The first time you grab the handle you probably die, but since then if you are not too stressed out then it's not that big of a deal. The next killer we can talk about would probably be the Hitman. The Hitman is most likely the guy you will die most often to. He's very hard to avoid, especially the first time he comes. That is where he's most dangerous. The Hitman, again, just as with Breeder, you can hear him coming, but A, it is very quiet again, and B, there are some pages on the dark web that actually make sounds, making it basically impossible to hear him. That is why you want to get 2 motion sensors as fast as possible, so you can put one here and the second one here. At that point the Hitman can't come without a motion sensor coming off. Therefore, you have to focus on, or you should focus on defenses first. I don't think you wanna counter Hitman by just straight up hearing him. It is not as safe. Always make sure you lock the door after yourself. So the 2 motion sensors feel necessary to me. And yeah, that's basically, we'll talk about it a little bit later too. Then there is Noir. Noir is probably the easiest ones. The most dangerous they are is when you open the door and they are right behind the door. That can happen and you can just automatically when you're trying to be fast, you just run through the door, you could bump into them, so be careful about that. There is a second thing about Noir, and that also goes on with the Hitman. The Hitman stays in your room the more you have lights on. But you don't want to preemptively turn the lights off, because if you do that, you can actually die instantly to Noir without a chance to react. If you sit at your computer and you have even one light off, as I did 2 times, the Noir can just kill you just by looking away, and you can't defend against that. So always have all your lights on. About the VPN, I believe there are 4 green spots, where one of the green spots is super good. It generates about 0.2 per click. The other 2 spots are 0.1, and the shittiest spot, as I call it, is 0.05. That is the one you don't want ever. Therefore, I usually start by coming down, because it makes it more time efficient if you actually want to move your VPN later on. Then you can do it on the way out when you actually go for the motion sensors or another VPN. So if you hit one of the 3 higher spots, 0.1 or 0.2, I just got scared of the trash can. Oh, that's awkward. Just leave it there and move it after you go for the first package. If you hit the spot with 0.05, the worst one, then I usually go back for it and move it before I actually start searching on the deep web. Now, the Wi-Fi strategy. In this game, the time is of the essence. It might sound that like the 6 hours in game, which is a little bit below 3 hours. I think it's like 2 hours and 2.5 hours in real time. Might sound like a lot, but it's actually not. So how do you actually want to use your time? Basically, I find it super hard to actually win without getting the key queue, which is the item you can install for 375 DOS coins. Therefore, finding hashes before you get that is not as important. There is like the illusion of time in this game, where you say, I have 2.5 hours to find 8 hashes. That is not true. You have 2.5 hours to find the last hash. Therefore, if you find 3 hashes before you get the key queue, or if you find 0 hashes before you find the key queue, the chance of you winning the game is basically the same. It's not the same because you have 3 pages where you know there is no key or no hash. That is basically how the probability changes in your favor, which is like increasage by like 6% or something. So it's really not that much. Therefore, how do you want to spend the time before you get the key queue? Well, there are also 2 other things you need to find, and that is linked to the Deep Web 2 and a link to Deep Web 3. Therefore, the way you want to spend your time at the start is by logging to only free Wi-Fi's, turn on your skybreak, scan and crack the passwords. Scan and crack the passwords. That is the first thing you want to do. The reason why you want to crack the password but not actually join the Wi-Fi's after you crack them is because it is very important that you get one of the stronger Wi-Fi's later in the game, the VPA2 or I can't type. The VPA2 or just the VPA. And to crack them, you want to have as much Wi-Fi's available as possible. Therefore, on the first rotation, I recommend to rotate your Wi-Fi just as you crack the passwords. Therefore, I spent on the WEP, and the free Wi-Fi, I only spent 10 minutes in game time. And in 10 minutes, you should have time to crack the both Wi-Fi's on the free Wi-Fi. Therefore, in the 10 minutes, you should be able to crack them. In the meantime, while you're cracking it, you wanna find the deep web links, the deep wiki links. Those are the most important. Those links are on the pages that always work. Therefore, it is good to remember which pages never work, which pages sometimes work, and which pages don't work. It is very good. The deep web link, the wiki link is always in the source code somewhere on one of the pages that always work, as far as I know. Once I got unlucky and the wiki link to was on the Dollmaker page. It can happen. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to trigger the Dollmaker though, because if you get out of that page fast enough, the Dollmaker doesn't actually come. And I had a dark wiki link on the first page, not on the second one. I also recommend to instantly buy 3 backdoor hacks. I haven't actually checked the VPN, so as you can see, this is the worst spot. I should have actually went out and the border screen spot and actually move the VPN. Will not do that now because it takes time and you can't really talk about much while doing that. So as you get the password, as we said, oh, I didn't crack it. Of course. How to talk and focus at the same time, I guess. And we'll keep searching for the wiki 2. The reason why we switch Wi-Fi's after 10 minutes, I didn't say that, is because you can get swatted by cops, which obviously should never happen. You always should remember the time you have before you have to switch Wi-Fi. For us it's, I believe, 27, 28, something like that. And we'll just keep searching for the deep wiki link too. In the meantime, you got the first password, write it down in the notes, scan, look for the wiki link. Don't get confused by email addresses. I don't think there was ever a wiki 2 link on the same page where an email address was. For some reason, I guess for the game to not be as confusing. But yeah, I just found that weird. It might have been just a coincidence, I guess. So we cracked the second password. Keep looking for the deep wiki 2 link. The hitman shouldn't come in the first hour of the game time, so you don't really have to worry about that early. You want to get hacked and get the motion sensors as fast as possible. I guess you can notice that I do not actually look for the hashes in the pages. It's because they don't matter until you get the PQ. They don't matter, don't worry about them, just skip it. So hopefully we get hacked so I can show you how the first byte works. Alright, so we create the second Wi-Fi. We can see that we are slowly running out of time here and we'll have to switch cracks. We'll have to switch the Wi-Fi soon. If you find the hash in the source code, obviously don't skip it. What I usually do is keep it, copy it into notes, also put it into Noir Tunnel and bookmark the page. That way, if you somehow lose that code, which can happen in many ways, then you always have a way to get it back. So we'll crack this Wi-Fi now. We can log off the internet now. Log off the Wi-Fi, obviously, and write down this password as well. So as we said, we will not use these Wi-Fis. So now, where are WEP Wi-Fis? On this spot and this spot, there are 2 WEP Wi-Fis. Those are the 2 spots where you actually want to crack the WPA2 because you have most efficient time to actually do that. On these 2 spots, here you have 2 free Wi-Fis and 1 WEP, and on the spot outside you have 1 free Wi-Fi and 1 WEP. At those you can use the WEPs. You won't come to those spots too often, therefore you don't actually need to save those Wi-Fis to be as much protected against both SWATs and hacks as possible. If you wonder how the hacks work, the more often you relog to the Wi-Fi and the longer you stay on the Wi-Fi in total, the more often you hack. That is why we actually don't really want to use up these Wi-Fis. We need those, like these 2 spots are where the end game begins. we will need as much time on these spots as possible. So we always use the free Wi-Fi's only while cracking the password requirements. So we keep going that. We haven't got hacked yet. You usually get hacked after half an hour, so we'll see if that thesis is correct. Nothing here. Again, we just look for the duplicate 2. Nothing else matters. The reason why is because there are hashes that are super hard to find, that you basically have to click like a certain word on a page, and that is just very difficult. So without a key queue, it's not really efficient at all, because you'll have to recheck the pages that you already went through anyway, right? Because you might have missed that kind of key there. I myself do remember all the pages that work, that sometimes work, that always work. It kind of comes to you as the time goes. I don't really wanna call them all out here, because I guess it would use some of the experience that you can have. As you can see, I always stand up and check for this and this. And the Noir can come. I believe Noir doesn't come in the first half an hour as well, but I guess I'm just used to doing it, so I do it since the start, even though it's Here come the hacks. So how the hacks work is, the more you miss on the first part, the harder the hack is to block, but the more money you actually get. Therefore, in the start, you want to miss everything. So the hack is the hardest, but you can gain as much money as possible. Because even the hardest hacks this early in the game are not super hard to beat, basically. So yeah, you're not risking much. For me, the hardest are boxes. For some, this one is the hardest. I guess it depends on your APM. The boxes are quite easy if you actually are first-person shooter, which I am not. And as you see, we got 45. So now, how do you want to buy? Well, you usually don't need more than 1 VPN. 2 is good too. 3, I feel like it's too much, and 4 is definitely too much. So I do, if I have the money, I buy more VPNs. Basically, I always buy the motion sensor, and if I have money for VPN, I buy that too. Since we don't have money for VPN, then we're not gonna buy it now. As we said earlier, we have the first VPN in a shitty spot, and here comes the time efficiency. Since we are going downstairs anyway, then we might as well take the first VPN and find a better spot for it, right? I don't believe they can, Noir or whatever can kill you on the other floors. No, where did I place it? I think I already went through it. So I'm pretty sure you're safe on other floors. There it is. So I should check the rest of this floor before I actually move to another one. There can be 2 green spots literally right next to each other. It is not like they have to have a certain distance from itself. Also, if you're thinking that if I place VPN here and if I place VPN here, do I mine differently? No. This entire spot mines the same, basically. So that doesn't help you at all. There can be green spots in the hallway as well. So you just go downstairs, we're going to get our motion sensor while searching for a better VPN spot. This is probably pretty unlucky in general. You should find a green spot, basically 2 green spots by now for sure. We haven't, but it's okay. We're not doing the entire run. It's just a basic guide. So yeah. Boom, 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 boom. We're already at the exit. So it's possible that all the good green spots are in the last floor. And by that I mean in the 10th floor. Or above 8th floor. So we found 1 green spot, very good. So now the breeder, we'll see if he can hit the steps And if we don't, we'll just run for the door anyway, because it's safe and it doesn't take up that much time. I don't think I heard it, but I'll go in anyway. The time you want to stay in here is about 45 seconds. I tried 30 seconds before and he still killed me. So 45 seconds is what I'm waiting behind the door since then. As I said, the first time you buy, it's very unlikely he comes, but he can. The steps he takes to the door are quite loud, so even though I talk, I should still hear it. You should always hear the steps he takes to the door. 30 seconds pass, but we'll wait 15 more. He shouldn't be coming at this point. We'll take our package, our motion sensor, go back. In case you found the VPN spot good, if you didn't, then now you can take your VPN back upstairs. Time efficiency, as we said. Now here comes the weird part. It doesn't happen on the first buy. I don't think we'll be doing the second buy. The hitman can actually wait behind this door. I've been waiting here 20 seconds before I entered it and he still killed me. So I guess it has to be 30 seconds or higher before you open the door and make sure he's not there. So be careful about that. The same can happen in the door to your apartment. I don't think it can happen to the door in your hall, but might be the case too. So if you want to be really safe, then wait 30 seconds before you enter the doors on the second buy, because he doesn't come on the first buy, or as we said, in the first hour. Therefore, if you have the VPN, go place it again. Place it, always avoid the fourth green spot, that is the worst. And as we said, the motion sensors should be here and mirrored on the other side here when you get the second one. Never forget to lock the door. Go back here, we have one Wi-Fi crack, write it down. Boom. Scan for the other one. We should still have enough time on the free Wi-Fi to actually finish this one off. As we can see, the other miner is actually the sweet spot, the best one, where you get 0.2 per tick, so we got lucky there for a change. So crack both Wi-Fi's, make sure you don't stay too long. I don't actually know the timer now, but I can orientate by this crack. Basically when this crack is done, I know the 10 minutes almost passed, so I will get out at that time. Always make sure you have backdoor hacks so you can make money off hacks. That is very important. And we'll keep searching for the weak link. I'd like to find it already, I guess, because I want to get to the last part. This is the hall. No, here. Some pages are super short, some are not. So yeah, sometimes you get more luck in this game than not. The gray always works. It's quite a long page, but the link can definitely be here. And here we go. Finally found the deep picket too. So this one is not necessary. You don't necessarily need to write it in the notes. You can just go on it and bookmark it. There we go. We can crack this Wi-Fi now. Perfect. Alright. So we're on the second wickling now. We disconnect. Boom. Crack this. Wait for the crack to finish. Our first mission, our first part done. This is the easier part. Get second wiki and get one motion sensor. Good. And crack the 4 Wi-Fi's. So this is the simple part of the game. Now the harder comes. So now what we do is find the third one. The third one, the third wiki is always on the same place. Therefore it's not actually hard. As we said, these outside spots we can use both WEP and the free ones, because we're not gonna need it in the future. Also, I forgot, open your motion sensor, so you can actually see the hitman coming in. And the third one is always on this page, the rule of 3. It never changes. It is a puzzle. You need the entire Wi-Fi timer for it, so be careful to not go for it when you're in like a middle of a connection. Why am I so bad at this today? Oh, I wrote 2 columns, right? Yeah, hold on. So how does this work? There is one single sequence you have to figure out. The reason why you have to make sure you have enough time, which is the 10 minutes in-game, is because once you reset the page, the sequence changes. So you have to stay on the same Wi-Fi for the entire sequence. Not gonna be as easy when I talk, I guess, because it's harder to remember. But the second you finish this, you get the third killing. It shouldn't be super hard, so I'll just try to do that real quick. Which one it was? It was this one? Okay. Boom, boom, boom. 3 more to go. Do not get time pressure too much. It is not as pressuring as it might seem. So don't panic while doing this. You basically, unless you're really bad, you should have enough time to actually figure this thing out. Even though right now I'm basically hitting wrong every single time, I should still have more than enough time to finish this off. Even though I got that, I should still have enough time to finish it. Also find out if I can do it or not, right? We should also talk about the hex. I guess we'll do it after we find the third wiki page. So as I said in the beginning, miss all of them. This one, in this hack, always try to form words from the letters. These first ones are easy, but they get harder eventually. Instead of remembering the letters, try to make words like here. Bdc, bdc. Because it is easier to remember words than single letters. Sf, sfuk, sfukva, sfukva, sfukva. Oh. My bad. Alright, that wasn't the best example. Detska, detska, detska. Alright. So we block that. We have enough money for the second motion sensor. And we're just getting screwed here. So this is when lights go out. You don't have to be worried much. There might be noir in this hallway. That is probably the only thing that can hurt you. Otherwise you can just get back into the apartment. The hitman doesn't have enough time to enter the apartment at the time, so overall you're just safe when the power goes out. I believe unfortunately our rule of 3 sequence got resetted. But we don't really have to finish it. We'll look at the hacks now before we do anything else. So the hacks, there are 4 hacks, as we know. This sequence, try to form boards. That is the best advice I can give you on that one. In this one, what you want to do is, as I'll show you, you always want to push 2 boxes at once. Therefore, if you can't push 2 boxes, always move 1 box closer first and then get both of them at the same time. That is the best way to save time in this hack. So like here, for example, I just move this here and push all boxes here. And in the last one, what you want to do is always go for the closest one first, because every time you hit the one in the circle, you gain more time. So always goes for the closest ones first and then try to get to the other ones. Not super difficult for me. There is no R. It's not as scary, just turn around, wait 15 seconds, you're good. So that's how you manage hacks. And now we go to the last part of the game. And that is how you actually win the game. Therefore, right now, we imagine we have the third wiki link. When you have all the links, but you don't have the as we'll see here. If you don't have the WPA2 first, because first you want to get 2 motion sensors and the motion alert before you actually get WPA2, just go on the outside Wi-Fi's, the one there and the one there, and since you have all 3 wiki links, go on the pages that just sometimes work, and those you want to search completely. Do not search other pages, because when you actually get the key queue, those pages might not work at the time. Therefore, if you want to find hashes somewhere, always try to find it on the pages that sometimes work and sometimes doesn't, where the light within is one of those. And in those pages, you actually go through everything. You go to text, you try to click on every single word, you look through the source code, just make sure there is no hash. That is the best way to use your time. So right now, we'll go for the second motion sensor. As I said, the scariest part of the game. The reason why this is scariest is that this is the time when Hitman arrives. If you're lucky, you manage to dodge him by the lucky sequence that the Hitman comes into your apartment when you're not actually in it. You should turn off your computer before you leave, which I didn't. But yeah. So we'll try to do it as safe as possible, because from this point, the game gets much easier. As long as you manage your time with the Wi-Fi's and don't get swatted, you should basically not lose from this point of the game. So on the way down, you should be basically safe. The breeder has a way bigger chance to appear now. Hopefully he will, so we can show you how to defend against him. I don't think I heard him, but let's just do this as usual. 100% safe, 45 seconds. Very simple. So how are you guys doing today? I still got some time to chat. So the reason why the game gets easier is that this is the last buy where you actually have to go outside. That way the breeder will never kill you, because he only spawns in the alley. The 45 seconds passed, very good. Breeder won't kill us, good. Take the package, go back. And now, probably the scariest part, the Hitman can be anywhere. So, on this part, since this part you're on a very good track to winning this game, I stop at every single door and wait 30 seconds, including this one. Because Hitman killed me behind this door about 3 times. You would not expect him here, but he is here. Sometimes. Last time I waited 20 seconds and he still killed me, so that's why I'm using 30 seconds now. I maybe heard some steps. You can assume he's not here. So now you set up your second motion sensor. At that point you will always see when the Hitman comes, if you manage to get to your apartment safely. And after you get motion alert, you always manage to dodge the Hitman, because he can only come from the hallway, not from the balcony as I originally thought. And for 2 motion sensors, you don't have to go outside and buy anymore. You basically could. As long as you don't get swatted, you're fine. Behind this door, you should probably wait 30 seconds too, and behind your own door, you should probably wait 30 seconds too. I'm just gonna assume he didn't come. So set up your second motion sensor here. Boom. And from this point of the game, you should be safe. But your computer here, you can see your sensors, they blink when they get triggered. You can get the motion alert to actually hear them, which as we can see will soon have 2. And you keep going through the websites that are sometimes on, try to find hashes there, and now you're making money for the key queues. So how you do that is mostly through hacks. Now, a good advice is, when you have no money, you can basically just YOLO it, just go for all the misses, so the hack is the hardest and you can get the most money. And you already have like 200, I recommend to hit at least 2 out of the 5. That way the hack is easier. You don't get as much money, but at least there is basically no chance that you will lose money because those hacks are relatively easy. When you get the key queue, you go back on your original 2 Wi-Fi spots, which is your computer and here. Join on the WEP and crack the WPA2. That one is way harder. Some all Wi-Fi's basically interact differently. Some you can inject more, some you can inject less. Therefore, try to avoid those Wi-Fi's where you can't inject at least 20, because those are way too slow. When you finally get the key queue, that is when you actually go through every single page and try to find the keys. That is the time where you actually finally start to look for hashes, because it is the most efficient. And you try to find all 8 hashes. And yeah, that's basically the gist of the game. So I hope this helped you guys. And to beat this game, because it is pretty hard actually. Also, probably worth mentioning is that one of the hashes is on the Dollmaker page. Always make sure you go there last, because you don't want Dollmaker side mission while you're actually playing. It makes the game way more difficult. Well, if you're up for a challenge, then I guess you go for it, but otherwise no. So after you get the second motion scanner, you can turn this off completely. You will never buy there again. And make sure you buy the motion alert every time. Yeah, that's the gist of it. Hope that helped you guys. At this point, the only thing you have to worry about are the cops. 10 minutes on the shitty Wi-Fi's. While you got on the WPA2, how I did it is that I went through one single Wi-Fi wiki page entirely before I switched, which took usually like 30 minutes in game time, and the cops didn't come. I think the WPA2s that it's very unlikely the cops will come. Once you get all the hashes, all you have to do is put them in the tunnel in the sequence that they are written. You need 250 DOS coins. Once you do that, then the game basically ends. I'll tell you to go to the hallway and I won't say anything further. So yeah, hope you enjoyed, guys.